And welcome back, everyone. So, roughly about a year ago, my girlfriend had been encouraging me to watch Doctor Who. She's a big Whovian, she loves Doctor Who, and she wanted me to start watching Doctor Who. I had never been really, not apprehensive, but I've never had that strong an interest in Doctor Who. And it just really came to the fact that I've just been watching other things. I hadn't had a large cultural awareness of Doctor Who. I've even had an above average knowledge of it for someone who'd never watched it. But eventually my girlfriend sat me down and we started watching Doctor Who. And gotta be fair where it's fair. I really, really like Doctor Who. When I say I love Doctor Who, I wouldn't go so far as say I'm head over heels in love with Doctor Who, but I very, very, very much enjoy Doctor Who. I'm about as close to loving it without saying you love. And so now that we've just wrapped up Tennant's run, I've just started Smith's run, I think it's time for me to start doing some Doctor Who on the channel. What better way to start things out with than to start with a ranking video of all of Eccleston's run. Now, Eccleston obviously was the first Doctor for me. He's the 9th Doctor. And a ranking list for him is pretty easy because he's only got one season to him. Who knows if he'll ever come back to at least make a cameo and like a special or something like that again. He's what really went down is still, I think, between him and the studios. Really, all I know is things didn't end well for Eccleston in terms of like he was not a good parting of ways. Ironically naming the last episode, but he still claims he very much enjoyed doing the role, and he's even in more recent years shown up at like conventions and stuff along with Billy Piper, and talked about the series and all that. So, and as far as I know, I think he's also doing audio, some of the audio stuff now. Who knows? Eccleston might come back. I have to go through both Capaldi, Jodie, and I cannot even remember. I don't even know the new actor's name. Him before I can give you a ranking of the doctors. But suffice to say, I did like Eccleston in the role. It took me a little bit of time to get used to him, but I did like him in the role. So this will be my list, obviously. My list will never look the same as anyone else's list, save for maybe some random... I mean, statistically, someone would probably have the same ranking as I would, but still. Regardless, coming in as what I think is let's say the weakest episode, and that's being kind, Aliens in London. And it really all comes down to these things. Now, don't get me wrong. As a suit, the Slitheen are not a bad suit. But you could also tell this was definitely in the early days of Doctor Who, where the budget wasn't the greatest. The farting kid jokes and the childish farting jokes that these aliens are just constantly producing gas and constantly farting, and they're all large people stuck in these tiny, but like I just didn't really work. And like, look, I get we're kind of a dumb species, but of all the aliens to kind of uproot us, allegedly, this was it. It really just comes off to me like the most cartoony of cartoony. Now, that's not to say there isn't still some interesting things going on here. The Doctor, I believe it was Unit who came to get them, wasn't it? It's been a while since I've watched that episode, obviously. But I believe it was Unit who came to get them. That was kind of interesting to see that again. I do recall that from the original series, and Unit keeps coming back in the series. But in the Doctor, trying his... And Eccleston's good and all that, but just a silly, silly episode. Which brings us down to the next episode, World War III. It's a little better. It is a little better. This is due to the fact that we get to see the Doctor actually using his brain. Like, for example, trying to figure out the actual species of aliens. It's like, narrowing it down. Like that kind of stuff I liked. The fact that they are able to trick him because they're like, oh yeah, do you know what the safest room in this entire country would be? This one. Boop. I do like seeing the Doctor be a little bit more assertive against the aliens and showing that, oh no, I can outsmart you if I really need to. But yeah, it's still these stupid... And the CGI when these things are moving isn't the best. It's just not the best put together episode. In my opinion. It's not the worst episode of Doctor Who. Oh no, I'd say... I'm only going through his and Tennant's run. I can tell you, I've seen a worse episode of Doctor Who than that. That being said, again, anything with the Slitheen, Boomtown comes in at level 11. And I'm also at the ratings here thanks to Rotten Tomatoes, the UK viewership. And yeah, Boomtown, it's amazing. Aliens in London and World War III are not highly rated episodes. If we're going to be, they're not super highly rated episodes, but they rank higher than Boomtown. They rank higher than like The Parting of Ways and Bad Wolf, which obviously I think are better episodes. Hell, they rank higher than The Empty Child, which I think is a much better episode, obviously. So, yeah, anything dealing with the Slitheen is just not that interesting or fun. That said, however, of the 3 Slitheen-focused episodes in this series, this is, by and away, or at least in the series, season, I should say, this is, by and large, the best of the 3. And I think it's because we finally get to see character from, like, the last remaining Slitheen. The one who, or at least the one last remaining member of her family. The one who, when the scene where she hears the reporter, I believe, in the bathroom talking about, her boyfriend and the fact she's pregnant, and it actually makes her hesitate and pause and think about her own family. The scene with her and the doctor, I think, is actually a good balance of goofy and dramatic, because she keeps trying to kill him, and he's just like, does the spray in her mouth, grabs the little the spike that she tries to kill him with. But then they actually have a good conversation about, how, if I remember correctly, how it went, something along the lines of, you've committed taking lies, all that, you're unforgivable. It's like only a killer would say that. And you see that look on his face and how she really did touch a nerve on that, because he's still dealing with trauma from the Time War. And we'll see a lot more episodes that illustrate that more effectively here, but it's still, I think, handled very well. Other than that, though, we get more Jack Harkness. I like Jack Harkness. Torchwood the little I've seen is not as good as Doctor Who, but it's still fun. But like I said, I like Jack Harkness fine. I like that he was a kind of temporary companion. So it's not god awful. Mickey needs to just go away. I'm glad when Mickey showed back up after he was left in the other dimension, he had definitely matured and gotten over Rose. But man, Mickey in season 1. Oh man, Mickey in season 1 was tough to deal with. He really was. So yeah, coming in number 10 though, I have The Unquiet Dead. This was the 3rd episode of the new series, and it definitely tried to mix the supernatural with the science, and I think where it just kind of goes wrong is just the concept is very weird. Because you literally have corpses being possessed by gas people. And so it gets very weird very quickly. And if I remember correctly, this is Charles Dickinson? I believe this is that episode. And where and I like the guy playing. I remember seeing him in many different series, including Hawkeye, over all things. But yeah, the old little catch at the end was like, oh yeah, no, in a year he dies. Yeah, and there's nothing we can do about that, Rose. That's just the history. I like that aspect. There are bits of humor, like when he's like, I'm gonna die in a cave, and I think, oh god, what did he say in his name? Like, there are things that work here, but I think it's just kind of standard Doctor Who. It's nothing. There's nothing about it really stands out. But beyond here, now we're going to start to get into actual good, I think, legit good episodes of Doctor Who. This was like, okay. The next one up, though, coming at number 9, is the initial episode, is Rose. And I think it's a good reintroduction to the Doctor. I do feel bad for Paul McGannon, because this is kind of, at least haircut-wise, this is kind of what he was envisioning for the Doctor. And it sucks that they didn't let him do it, because it works on Eccleston. It probably would have worked on Paul McGann. Or McGannon, I think his name is. But point is, I like the idea of the living plastic monsters, although it is still stupid to think like, wait. They're mannequins. They have no physical muscle or bone structure. Living plastic be damned. You shouldn't be having this much of a hard time physically overpowering them. But that like creepy plastic Mickey was still really like he was kind of creepy. It does fall into the trap of the early 2000 CGI with the living plastic entity that we get at the bottom of the pit. But at the same time, we get our first introduction to this doctor. And it's a fun introduction. He's wild. He's kind of seeking danger. But he's still clearly got a good heart. He's just been buried and tempered because of the war he just experienced. And so, and I like that little introduction he has in her apartment. It's like he looks at himself in the mirror. Oh, not too bad, but look at the years. It's like, oh, sad ending. The introduction of Rose, who's one of, if not the most iconic companion of the Doctor. She is right up there with Donna Noble, Amy Pond, and it's interesting to say the least. Like, and then I'll say this: Rose took some growing for me. I had to grow on Rose, and I will honestly say I still don't know if she's my favorite companion. That's a different video series entirely. But she certainly is able to think on her feet. She's ironically able to roll the punches pretty well, even dealing with living, sentient, inanimate objects, weirdly enough. But as we get into some more episodes down the list, even though they're ranked higher, Rose's character could be a little, especially early Rose, could definitely be jarring for me. So but still, it's a good episode. Great re-entry to the Doctor, I think. So there you go. Coming in number 8, we have, ironically, the episode that made me go, Rose, no. No. Father's Day. You're bound to see an episode like this where someone messes up the past and didn't understand the ramifications of doing that. And I like the idea of like a Langolier type being that comes in. But could you, even with 2005, could you at least make it look better than the Langoliers? Because it really wasn't that much of an improvement. Design-wise, sure, but otherwise, oh God, those things were horrifying to look at. But when you take that out of the equation, it's still a good story about a girl who never got to know her dad, finally gets to meet him, gets to meet her younger mom, sees that they really weren't like how her mom kind of portrayed them in the stories, but then that's the benefit of time and hindsight and everything. When you have the benefit of time to look back at the things you've lost, the people you lost, and how you remember them, it will change. Those rose-colored glasses, no pun intended, really do come into effect. And so I do like the interaction with her dad. I like the fact her dad's smart enough to understand, I'm not supposed to be alive. I need to die. And Rose just not wanting that to happen, but she can't do anything about it. I like the fact that this is the first time we saw the TARDIS, as effective and powerful as the TARDIS is not all powerful. When the issue happened, the TARDIS just went bye-bye. And so, yeah, it's like, no, and the Doctor's like, oh God. I also like the fact the Doctor is rightfully angry with Rose. Like, seriously, I trusted you, and was this what you were planning the whole time? Just abuse that trust? Screw you. So I do like what they did there. Absolutely. Coming in though, so I did like it. It still suffers some early Who problems, especially early 2000s Who problems. It's still a little clunky in some of the stuff it's doing. It's also got some terrible CGI. It's still a solid episode. That being said, coming in number 7, we got The End of the World. The second episode, the first adventure Rose really has with the Doctor. There's the introduction adventure, sure, but no, this is the first take you somewhere in the TARDIS adventure that he has with Rose. And this just feels like pure Who to me. The little of Who I knew. Wacky creatures and aliens, a new society, watching the world end, basically. And then a whodunit, what's going on mystery here. and then I can't remember her name, but the living face, moisturize me, yes. And it's just, there's really not much wrong with this episode. This is where we learn that he's a Time Lord, and who he is and what he is. And then we learn a bit more about him near the end. We also, if I remember correctly, It was the first episode. Yes, no, it was the first episode where he basically says like, yeah, you know, this Earth is spinning at around 1,000 miles an hour, and I can feel it, every bit of it. We're floating and falling through space. And the last bit of the episode where they're just standing in a crowd of people like nothing happened. And it's like, this will all be gone. And, you know, he's, and says, that's when he says, yes, I'm a Time Lord. There was a war and we lost and I'm the last one. And, you know, they just agreed. It's just kind of what they agree to more or less just live in the moment. Just like, you know what? I want chips. Me too. And so I think it's just a very well put together episode of Doctor Who. Again, nothing outstanding, nothing super revealing about like the Doctor or anything like that, apart from like those bits at the end. But just in terms of like a classic standard, good wholesome. People die, but people usually die in a Who episode anyway. Good episode. I like that. But coming in at number 6, coming in hot. Now we're into good. Whoop, that's actually, did I just do the wrong thing here? Oh no. Sorry. I think I ranked these wrong. According to what I got here, oh well. So as it turns out, and honestly, now that I say it out loud, I don't think I ranked them wrong. I think I actually ranked these right. So actually coming now in at number 5, I think, because this was actually number 6. But I think I actually would say I ranked them more appropriately. So coming in, we're now in the top 5, folks. Top 5 episodes of the first run of Doctor Who, the new Who, Eccleston era. Coming in number 5, we got, what's the name of it? Bad Wolf. First of the 2-parter for end of Eccleston run. And it starts out interesting. Like, starts out at the end of Boomtown, and we find them all on like these different TV shows. The Weakest Link version, the makeover version, the reality TV show version, and the idea of what's going on here. And I love Jack. Oh, God, I love Jack. And like he has no problem being naked in front of the cameras. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, because Jack will do anyone. Like pansexual up the yin, folks, and it's wonderful. And then they just pulled that laser. Like, why are you hiding that? You honestly don't want to know. So I love Jack in the episode. I love that Rose thinks it's all a game and then realizes, oh no, people die. And it's like, okay, no, this isn't good. I love the mystery and then the reveal, the big final reveal that the Daleks are back. It's just a really good lead up to a finale. That's the thing. If this were, say, a finale and then you got to wait till like the next episode of the first season, that would be terrible. But as a follow-up or as a leading-in episode to your finale, I think it was a really solid episode. Coming in at number 4, we have The Parting of Ways. The Parting of Ways is, I think, oh, now I know what happened. I now know what happened. I did do this right. However, I forgot one. So, let's talk about The Parting of Ways at number 4. I thought I must have gotten the wrong image. That's what happened. I must have gotten the wrong image in there. Because I'm missing an episode here. Now I realize, because the episode's not ranked as high as some of the other ones. Regardless, The Parting of Ways was a really good finale. It finally showed a lot of the Doctor, his relationship with the Daleks, how the Daleks, even when he ends like, you have no weapon and no plan, and that scares the hell out of you, shows that the Daleks fear the Doctor. They are scared of him. And I love the build-up, how the Daleks are, these killing machines, these menaces. But at the same time, they are still fallible. And how the Doctor himself is also fallible. That last message he sends to Rose about just live a good life, how Rose won't accept it. The merging with the TARDIS, basically, and how it's just destroying her. And that reveal that, yeah, he's been changed through his interaction with Rose. How, are you a killer or a coward? Coward, every time. I like how that played out, ultimately. And then, obviously, we leaned into the finale, where it's a great regeneration sequence. I've only seen 2 of, actually, I've seen all of them, technically, because I've seen them online, but in terms of context with the actual series, I've only seen 2, Tennant's and his. And his is a great, little goodbye about, him saying it's fantastic, you were fantastic. And you know what? So was I. Boom. And then that reveal of Tennant and say, hello, new teeth, that's weird. What was it? Oh yeah, Barcelona. So that I think deserves its 4th place spot. But I now know where I went wrong because I accidentally used the same image twice. What I meant to actually do, if I can find the image of the episode I actually want to hear, that's it. The Long Game. The Long Game, I believe I put, it was either number 7 or number 6. I know, or it was somewhere in there. It was in the upper. It's a fun little episode, to be sure. And it does come back, because they do go back to this station in Bad Wolf. And I love the fact that it's shot Simon Pegg there as the bad guy with this weird alien thing up there. But it is kind of just an episode. It's a fun episode, don't get me wrong, but it is just kind of an episode, which is why it was ranked a lot higher up on the list. Or lower down on the list, I should say. But I do like how that little douchebag got his comeuppance, where Rose basically just left him in the past, and the minute his mom whistled, she saw the implant and freaked out. So I did like that little comeuppance. But now we're in the final bits, folks. We're in the final bits. So we did the parting away. It's coming in. Bronze medal, number 3, The Empty Child. This and its subsequent episode are some of the best of the new Who that I've seen. It has a very creepy zombie-like atmosphere to it. They keep telling you, don't let this kid touch you. What is going on with this kid when you can't see its eyes? It is very, very weird and very creepy. And when we see the doctor ultimately turn into one of these things, it is kind of unsettling. Not as bad as when the guy turned into the Ood, mind you, but still very unsettling. And it gives you kind of like, how the hell are you going to get out of this scenario? And, of course, the introduction to Jack Harkness, absolutely, really good. I really enjoyed it because he's a really good character. Which, by the way, leads us down to number 2, The Doctor Dances. This is the perfect follow-up. Telling this thing is powerful. I just told it to go to its room. I love the fact that, because I kind of was able to pick up on it after a little bit, but I like the fact that the reveal of what actually happened is definitely Jack's fault. But it's also not, like, he didn't intend for any of it to happen. It was an accident, but it is his fault. And what it was very unique. The idea that, these little nanites tried to heal someone but didn't know what they looked like, so just took everything they could and just kind of repurposed them as something different. I think that was a very good concept. And the whole, this once Rose, everybody lives, is still, you can see the pure joy on the Doctor's face that for once, no one's going to die. He's going to actually save everyone. Except Jack, because Jack goes to sacrifice himself. And you know what? I like that scene. I like the fact that he was very much, what was the word I was looking for? I'm looking for it. He completely at peace with the fact, well, I've had a good run. And he tells the story about, did I tell you about the time I was office executed? I ordered 14 vodka cocktails for my final meal. Woke up in bed with both my executioners. Good, nice couple. I still hear from them. And then he gets saved by the Doctor, becomes a temporary companion. I like that, absolutely. In the final ending scene where the Doctor dances, you know what, Rose? I can dance. Bam, 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 dance, dance, dance. I think those 2 episodes together, I could have just lumped them as one whole episode, but it was, to use a better term, a fantastic episode, a truly great episode of Doctor Who. But if you know the Eccleston run and you know all the episodes, then you know the one that's not on here, that it will be number 1. Number 1 is Dalek. 1, great reintroduction to the Daleks and showing us just how dangerous one Dalek is. 2, and even more importantly, it actually gives us a lot of insight into what has gone on with the Doctor. He is broken. He has done things he did not want to do. He did not want to be a part of, and it hurts him. And when he tells the Dalek just to kill yourself, and the Dalek just replies back, "You would have made a good Dalek." And you see that look on his face when he says it. He comes in ready to kill it, and Rose just calls him out. It's changing. What are you changing to? And he just he realizes, I didn't want to do, I didn't mean to, and he doesn't really even have any words. And then the evolution of the Dalek itself. The Dalek surprisingly was very emotional for a Dalek. It was very much looking for. It actually saw something in Rose that it did not want. it needed. It saw someone that wasn't afraid of him, and it actually appreciated that. So, and then we see, when it finally, end, quote unquote, ends its life. It's very much like, I'm not a Dalek anymore. I can't do this. I got to self-destruct. Otherwise, I am worthless. Like, it's tough to watch, and it's just so good. And watching that douchebag like collector get what he needs, get what was coming to him too, was very satisfying as well. But it just works, I think, on pretty much every level here. It's just a really fantastic episode of Doctor Who, and I think it is my favorite of the Eccleston run. Now, that's not to say, do I hate any episode of the Eccleston run? No, I don't hate any episode of the Eccleston run. I think there are definitely the weakest ones, as I just kind of pointed out with the Sylvine stuff. But I don't think there's any truly bad episode of Doctor Who. Now, when we get to the Tennant run, while I will flat out say I like Tennant more as a Doctor, and I'm only just getting to know Matt Smith's Doctor, but I'm liking him so far. There might be one or two actual bad episodes of Tennant's run. But that's just because he had so many more episodes that it's harder to keep a perfect track record. Regardless, though, that is my ranking of Doctor Who Ninth Doctor's episodes. What would you rank how would you rank the Ninth Doctor's episodes? Do you agree with my list? Disagree? What would you do differently? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And I'll see you guys later.